Hey, 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 welcome to another amazing episode of Coffee with Tracey. I am your host, Tracey Osborne. With me today is Kait LeDonne, and we are going to talk about all things social media. I'm really excited about this because don't do social media right. I know I don't. I have people that help me out, but I'm sure that my social media is probably not where it should be. So I'm really excited to get some new tips and stuff from this. Let me read her bio, and we're going to get going. Kait LeDonne is the founder and CEO of LeDonne Branding and Marketing. With over 8 years of branding experience, Kait specializes in working with B2B businesses and consultants to clarify their message, refine their image, and attract the right kind of customers using social media strategies that hyper-accelerate brand awareness and amplify credibility. Kait hosts a weekly marketing and branding show and has authored the ebook, The Attraction Magnet, which helps small business owners implement key branding methodology to expand their reach and presence. She works with local, regional, and international firms and has been a contributor on television and in national news publications. So welcome, Kait.
Thank you. Thank you, Tracey, for having me.
Okay, so social media is totally where it's at. It's not going away regardless. So, but there's so many platforms. I mean, we've got our big three, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. And then we have all these little tiny things. We've got Pinterest, we've got Instagram, we've got Snapchat, we've got this, that, and the other. So how do we know where to even begin? I mean, what platforms do we focus our attention on?
You know, that's a great question. And especially as small businesses, you have to be very, very intentional about this, right? Because there is this trap of wanting to be everywhere your competitors are.
Right.
And the problem in that thinking is if you are everywhere on every platform, unless you have a social media, and I mean team who is dedicated, it's very hard to do any one of them well. And every platform comes with their own etiquette and rules. So if you're in a situation where you're just kind of posting the same thing on every one, people can tell that it is not as genuine if instead of just picking one rather and being really, really great at this. And we see it time and time again with companies that do social media incredibly well. So right now, Wendy's is getting so much attention because of their presence on Twitter. And it just took one platform to get insane credibility, press awareness about how they're doing social media really well. We saw this with Taco Bell and Snapchat. You'll notice that it's never this brand does all of social media well. You'll always hear that they do extremely well with one platform. So especially if you start going, my advice is this: pick one and become a master of it rather than going a mile wide and an inch deep. And the one is dependent upon who your target clients are. So, you know, I focus on LinkedIn. My clients are B2B professional services firms. That is chiefly who I work with. They are on LinkedIn. They're accessible. The platform is great. I have all but abandoned maybe Facebook Live and just focused on that. And I have to tell you, Tracey, right now, the cold leads I'm getting off of LinkedIn have eclipsed referral business that I get, which has always been the bread and butter of where clients come from, right? Referrals, they're your best clients. No, it's LinkedIn for me now. So whenever I'm working with my clients, I say, resist the temptation. I know you see everybody else being everywhere, but it's better to become really, really great at one and build a following with that. And then when you've mastered it, you can always actually incentivize and move the following to another platform, but don't try and be everywhere because you're not going to master the strategies that require you to be successful.
So this is really interesting because when I started my business, I started out on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And I lived on Twitter. And this was back, 9-10 years ago when people actually had conversations.
Right.
And that's where I got almost all my business from. When I was starting out, I grew my business on Twitter. Now I spend most of my time on Facebook.
Yep.
And but I'm finding that Facebook is really becoming flooded with with competition, with other virtual assistants, with business coaches, etc. So it's actually getting harder and harder to grow your business on Facebook. And I'm starting to look at Twitter again, but Twitter seems to be a place where people are just kind of putting out quotes and verbally puking their sales stuff. And it's not as friendly as it used to be. No. But I'm also finding in the Facebook groups, they're not as engaging as they used to be either. so, you and I were talking just before we got started about LinkedIn, and I'm like, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about moving over to LinkedIn, and I don't know, maybe I need to take a look at it again. I log into LinkedIn like maybe once a month.
So this was my experience with LinkedIn, right? Here, I'm going to get like on just really raw about how I was as a marketer. I'm like, oh, LinkedIn. It's so behind every other platform.
Mm-hmm.
All these coaches and strategists making money on Facebook. LinkedIn is behind the times. Nobody's really on it. I'm not paying any attention to it. I thought the algorithms were weird. I thought the things that LinkedIn would do were just strange compared to other platforms. I just thought they were just a complete waste of time. That's me as a marketer. And then I kept hearing people in the professional services space say, you know what, LinkedIn it's getting me clients, it's getting me leads, like you really should check it out. And I said, you know what, okay, especially as a social media coach, I'm going to go on and I'm just going to give it all I can for like 90 days. I wrote my first article on LinkedIn and I had people connecting, reading, seeing it. It was about my parents not being happy that I chose the route of entrepreneur. And I had people just come from everywhere saying, wow, that was my experience when I left the day job. They weren't supportive. And I just had this like cathartic moment where I wanted to get this out into the world.
Right.
It landed me connections. So I started to see the power of publishing, but I wasn't really bought into it then. And then I started to consistently post for a sprint. And all of a sudden, the cold outreach started coming. People across the country. I landed my first international client. Said, hey, I Googled branding strategist. I saw your LinkedIn profile, not my website, your LinkedIn profile pop up. I read through all of your content, your posts. It's not a question of if we're working together. It's a question of how. And that's when I thought, wow, I've been doing it all on Facebook and I get awareness and interest and leads from Facebook, but they're never ready to buy like the ones from LinkedIn are. The ones from LinkedIn always have bigger budgets. They're always at the point of purchase by the time they reach out to you. The time from conversation to conversion, I found, is better than any other platform because the whole platform is set up with the idea of going on there and connecting and doing business with each other. So that's been my experience with it. And I really, at this point, if you'd asked me, do you want to keep your website or your LinkedIn profile? I would say you can have the website.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing. So let's talk about this for a little bit. Okay. I've seen different things about LinkedIn profiles. So, what is the best way to do your LinkedIn profile? I've seen where you put your resume in there, and then I've seen where you answer like specific questions, like what I do, who I do it for, and how I do it, so what are you finding is the best way to build out your profile?
Of the two, definitely the latter. You got to keep in mind, every activity you take on social media, if you really want to become a master and effective at it, should be with the intention of delivering value to the people that you're connected to. Everything should be delivering value. So not even in just your posts and the articles that you write and your live videos, but even in the way you structure your profile, help somebody who's looking at it understand what you provide. So if you just upload your resume, it's all about me and my accolades, my accomplishments. That means nothing in terms of helping somebody else understand who are you in the world and how can you really help me. So I always start by telling my clients, let's look at your profile and let's make it client-centric, meaning help them figure out exactly who it is that you work with. What do those businesses look like? Tell them what the engagements, the kind of scope of work packages, if you will. Mm-hmm. Really frame it in a way where they're gaining as much value as possible. Everything should be reverse engineered from your client standpoint, not just this chest beating, look at everything I've done.
Look at me.
Right. It's more or less like if you were writing sales copy for a site. And honestly, that's kind of what I did. I just took the sales copy I had for my site. And at the time, LinkedIn had this huge space in the summary section. They've since collapsed it. You have to, expand it out on the newer version. But they just had this blank space in summary. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, there's just this huge space to put essentially web page copy to lead people to conversion rather than, Kait LeDonne has won tons of awards. Like, it's just so
big deal. Who cares? I'm happy for you.
Yeah, like, great. Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know. And with LinkedIn, the other thing I saw too, and I don't know if they still do this. Do they still do like the recommendations? I remember when that first came out, and I had like all these people I'd never even met wanting me to recommend them, and I'm like, I don't know you. I've never worked with you. I'm not recommending you and putting my reputation on the line. So they still have that.
They do have recommendations.
Is that kind of like just client testimonials and things like that?
Yes. Yeah, they have recommendations, and then they have endorsements. I never really got the point of endorsements. Here's why I never gave much credibility to endorsements. Recommendations are a separate story. So endorsements is that little box where it has all your skills, like I know PowerPoint, and then people like endorse you for the skills that you've listed. But you would sign on to LinkedIn, and it would push you to endorse people's skills. And I didn't even know these people. So I knew that's why other people were endorsing my skills, not because they came on my profile and felt, compelled to share with people how well I do something. It was
because they want you to do a bag.
Exactly. So I really give no thought to endorsements whatsoever.
Kind of like these. I see these in groups on Facebook all the time where it's, hey, it's Facebook, follow Friday or whatever. Share your Facebook page or share your Twitter handle, and and I would go through and I would like pages or follow people that I really was interested in.
Yes.
But then I would have people who would come and they'd hit my link and they'd go, okay, I liked your page, so like mine back. Nah, I don't want to like your page.
It totally takes the authenticity out of it.
Yeah, I don't even really participate in those. I mean, I have it in my group, but I don't really participate in it anymore.
Exactly. So I mean, recommendations, those do take something. You have to write it. It kind of actually makes it a little hard for you to write recommendations for people. And even in my opinion, of course, ask for them. So if somebody has written a recommendation, I actually do give a lot of validation to that. It's something you have to put thought into.
Okay, good to know.
Yes.
Do you spend any time in groups with LinkedIn?
Used to, don't anymore. I think that the groups feature, ever since they've messed with the platform, has become, again, it was one of these things. They were very easy to access. You saw the groups. They were very visible when you logged in. Now I feel like they're hidden, and aside from weird email updates I get from some of the groups that I'm in, I don't see this active community in front of me anymore. And again, out of sight, out of mind when it comes to social media. If you have a feature like that and you bury it, the rate of engagement, in my opinion, is automatically going to become lower. So groups, there's a way to make them work for sure, but I don't think that they are that valuable. I know others will say different. I know others have built their entire business from groups, and they can definitely be a great forum to meet and connect. But I think, like you said about Facebook groups, they're one of those things that used to have a lot of momentum and good quality content, and now it's a lot of self-promotion, and they've kind of buried the groups. So I tend to not spend too much time in them.
Okay, interesting. All right. So in terms of strategies, and this is something that I've never really been able to do. I'm not a social media expert by any stretch of the imagination. So, how important is it to really have some kind of a strategy for your social media?
Oh, it is 100% important.
And so how do you even create one?
I know.
What does that even look like?
Here's the thing. The word strategy sounds really intense.
It does.
Really unwieldy and lofty, and something that only medium to large size firms would have, right? Because to have a social media strategy, you should really have a social media team, and they should all be just these whiz kids at social media that know algorithms and hacking algorithms. And even to myself, it sounds really intense. So I actually say to my clients, you don't need a social media strategy. You need a social media system. So like anything in business, if you have a system, it keeps you consistent, and it will consistently produce results. So if you put something into it, it should have a repeated, outcome. The thing about social media, it's almost so simple. It's simple, but it's not easy. The thing about social media is it is just a total play on consistently. This is the strategy, Tracey. You go on there and you consistently deliver value to your target clients, and they will come to you. But consistency is king in social media, because if you miss it even a couple of days, the brand awareness is gone. But if you just consistently deliver value, you will get returns from it. So I think people think that's way too simple to be a strategy. That can't be right. No, that's a system. You don't want a strategy, you want a system. Having a strategy sounds like you have to have all these pre-planned posts and they need to be written like Pulitzer Prize worthy. No.
Like Monday motivation, Tuesday we'll post a tip, and
exactly.
Yeah.
It actually robs the, I think, real and raw nature. If you think of how humans interact on social media and why we all really like it, none of us have personal strategies for social media. We go on there and we talk about what's really going on in our lives. So if you can do that in a business context with the intent of delivering value from it consistently, you're going to be just fine. And don't be afraid to show your personality. Don't do this corporate whitewashed, boring like thing where all of a sudden I'm speaking on behalf of the business, so I need to get into my corporate lingo hat and type it out. Nobody wants to read that. It is so dry and unmotivating.
That is so true. When I was on Twitter, okay, so I started on Twitter in 2008. That first year, I was named one of the 50 most influential women on social media.
Wow.
And then I hired a bad business coach. And when I was on Twitter, I posted a lot of personal stuff. My kids are sick, my dogs had puppies, the same stuff that I would post on my Facebook profile, right? Yeah. And she would tell me that the stuff I'm posting is driving away clients. And nobody wants to see that. They think that if I'm dealing with all of this, I'm too busy for their work, so they're not going to hire me as a virtual assistant. And so I stopped posting. I just quit Twitter altogether because I'm like, well, I don't even know what to put out there anymore, because I thought it all had to be business tips and stuff like that. And so I'd go and I'd research quotes and tips and whatever. And I was like, God, this just sucks. And so I just kind of like stopped for a long time. And then when I finally went back to Twitter, it had completely changed. The environment had changed. So I totally agree. You have to put your personality out there. And I went that route with even my website copy. It was all the whole, very formal, very professional. And when I rebranded this year, I said, you know what, I'm tired of this. I want my personality. I want my voice out there. And so I've completely changed, and it's made a huge impact.
And again, I think it helps with conversion, right? So I always give this metaphor, kind of simile, like this analogy to it. People ask me, I'm not a huge fan of going to networking events anymore. And I know a lot of BD friends that I have are like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? You got to go to networking events. And I tell them, look, if I go to a networking event, I might be driving for an hour to go to an event for 3 hours, drive home for an hour. Now that's 4 hours out of my day.
Exactly.
When I go to the event, best case scenario, I have 3 really great conversations that then yield follow-up coffee or phone meetings. So then we're up to, goodness, like 5 plus, 6, 7, 8 hours.
Right.
Best case scenario, we have coffee. We get to know each other's personalities. We really hit it off. You get the know, like, and trust thing. And then when there is a need, if it's not now, you'll hope that because they like and trust you, they come to you to do business, right?
And who goes to networking meetings? Mostly salespeople.
Exactly.
Development
officers. Is you go there, and the whole outcome is always going to be then to establish know, like, and trust, because that's what is required to do business. With social media, I can get those same 8 hours, post my personality and things about my business and my client's business, establish know, like, and trust way quicker to a way larger audience. Mm-hmm. And then the ratio of what I get back is so much greater. So yes, you want to be posting your personality, because that's why people do business with you in real life, because like, hey, exactly. She seems like somebody I want to do business with. There's a million insurance folks or lawyers, but their personality is really somebody I want to do business with. So then why would you take that thing that draws people to working with you in real life and rob yourself of it on social media, where you have an even bigger audience to get your personality who would be inspired to work with you? It's ludicrous to me.
I think about the only change that I've really made as I really ramp up and I'm becoming more and more well known is when I get bored, I do most of my social media at night when I'm sitting on the couch watching TV doing nothing, right? So, you see all those stupid little quizzes. What color are you? I'm like, let me do this. And so, I've kind of stopped posting those. Unless they're like really cool or it's like really funny or something like that, I'll post it. Yeah. But so that's probably about the only change I've made. Otherwise, I'm still very, very raw, very open, very sharing, just the same way I am on the show. I'll tell you my stories, I'll tell you my downtimes and that kind of thing. And I think that people can relate to you better that way.
Oh yeah.
And it totally builds that no like trust factor, but it just that they relate to you, and that's what they need.
Right. Well, and I mean, going back to LinkedIn, for a while I was writing 5 things you're doing wrong with your email marketing, 10 things. It was very clickbaity, and it got views for sure. But the ones that go viral on LinkedIn are always what I learned from like losing my biggest client, right. Or how being a millennial woman in a corporate world, has done X, Y, and Z. And people, we will always be story-driven beings. We're humans at the end of the day. And I would assert that folks who are incredibly, incredibly skilled in their fields, they're able to connect concept to reality. So if you can do that on social media by way of sharing, like a business tip and how it relates to your business, and peel back the curtain, give people a behind the scenes look and say, this is how it's impacted my business, they're going to want to work with you because you put it in the realm that they can understand. We all understand things by example. You'll rob people of the ability to understand a concept if you don't share how it's even, worked out for you. So completely, I can't say it enough, be authentic, give people a chance to root for you and step inside of your business, because that's when they're going to like really, really want to work with you.
How often should we be posting? I mean, I see infographics and stuff all the time, like the best times to post on Twitter or Facebook are, and you should be posting like 6 to 8 times on Twitter and once a day on Facebook. And, so how much really should we even be on social media?
So this is the thing. As a social media coach, I wish I could just step away from social media.
Right?
It's like walking into Target. You go in with the best of intentions. I just want toothpaste, and you leave with like $200 of stuff, and you're like, crap, I just spent 2 hours, and I really just wanted to go find somebody on Facebook really quick and pull something up. So it can be a huge time waster. The thing about this is what I always talk to my clients about, since they don't have huge social media teams. You need to look at the factor of ROE, return on energy. This is why I like LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can get a huge return by posting maybe 3 times a week because of the way the algorithms work. Now, I post at least once a day, sometimes more, but the ROE on LinkedIn, because of the algorithm, is a lot greater. Twitter, on the other hand, where they never really got a hold of their news feed in the beginning and you just got everything, that was a platform that required a lot of energy, and you could get a lot of return from it, but you had to have a lot of energy to invest into it, my opinion, of course, right. Especially when they didn't start to pare down the news feed. Facebook, you got to be consistent with it for sure, because everybody's on Facebook posting all the time. And of course, Facebook will always prioritize personal pages over business pages. And that's another thing I tell clients too. I know people who have built massively successful businesses just with their personal page because they know the platform favors the personal page. I don't have a business page on Facebook, nor will I, because I really feel like you just have to do double the work, where you leverage your personal network instead.
Yeah. I have one, and I have one for the show. And I have a Twitter account for both my business and the show. But it's hit and miss. Unless you pay to boost your post, nobody really sees them.
Exactly. No, nobody sees them. Nobody sees them.
Yeah, it is almost a waste of time to even bother with it. I have it just because I have people on there and I have followers, and who knows?
Like, it becomes a defensive thing. You start to look at your competitors and they have a business Facebook page. I really should too. And it's good. Like, have a presence, own your presence on it. But when it comes down to looking at ROE, your personal page is going to generate ROE way quicker than your business page will, because Absolutely. Facebook's job is to bury your business page to then sell your own fans back to you. And right. I don't hate them for it. They're a for-profit business. This is what they do. They know that their product is us, personal users. It's in their favor to boost our stuff as personal users, to make business pages then pay for access to it. So hack the system in that way.
Right. Right. How salesy should we be on there? I mean, it drives me nuts when I see somebody come into a group and they're like, "Hey, I'm da 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 da, and if you need anybody who does this, this, and this, hire me or call me or whatever." So I mean, it comes across as desperate and cheesy, and I use car salesman vibe, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how salesy do we really want to get on Facebook, or I mean, on social media? Period.
This is what I'll say about selling. Again, value, always aim to deliver really, good content to your audience that you think is going to help them. And then when you've done that, and when you've laid the groundwork as somebody who, is a value driver, who is somebody of influence, and that's really how you build influence, you consistently deliver value, then you can really pitch. But if you pitch authentically, there's a difference between just pitching and pitching authentically. So I just rolled out, and actively actually in the process of rolling out, my first online course. I have been posting value-driven content for a year now, while I've been building out the course. And how I'm pitching the course, and it's being received really well, even in a warm rollout to my list and to my personal Facebook following, is just telling them how excited I am about it, inviting them behind the scenes of how I built it, what I was thinking about it, what gain that I've gotten from the course. And I'm really, really excited about it. I'd be remiss not to share that and invite them into my enthusiasm for launching it. So it's not hey, I've got a great course for you, come do this. It's going to be fantastic. I'm so excited. I really am. I've spent over a year developing a LinkedIn system that has expanded my business nationally and internationally. As what started off as a one-person consultancy, I want to teach it to other people. Here's some things that I've learned along the way. I can't wait to share it with you. There's a difference. It's still value-driven, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah.
People are excited for you. People want to see other people do well.
Yeah, they do.
And if you give them the opportunity to not talk down to them and pretend that you've got it all figured out, but hey, I've messed up a few times on LinkedIn, and I've also done really well in some situations, and here's what I've learned. Right. And now I have a system for it, and I want to share it with other people because my business has gone crazy. That's way different than this is a premium LinkedIn course, and that, again, that corporate-y, markety talk.
Oh. And the things that I think that really turn me off are the internet marketers who share these screenshots of how much money they've made on something, or something like that. I don't care.
Exactly.
That doesn't do anything for me.
Well, that's the thing. And again, it goes back to, are you focused on yourself? Or are you focused on bringing value to other people? So when I was putting out my course, I actually did do screenshots, but not of myself. I would take screenshots almost out of disbelief that clients would send to me about what happened to them after they tried a few things on LinkedIn. And I'll never forget, Tracey, I got an email from one of my clients, and she said, "I can't believe it." And she said, "I've done 2 weeks of what you said, and I just landed a national article in an HR magazine." She's an HR coach, and a long-term government contract. And I was jumping up and down in my apartment as if I had made a bunch of money because she did. And again, those I think are the only screenshots I'd be willing to share, just because that is a win for me. But yeah, I mean, pulling it back and saying look, I just made 100K and blah, blah. Again, you're just chest beating for yourself. And it just kind of reads as, I think, I hate to say it, a little sleazy, a little pretentious. I'm sure it works. I know that they do it because it works. But for me, if I can highlight somebody else's success because of what I've taught them or what they've learned, I'd rather do that than showboat my own stuff.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people make on social media?
What is the biggest one?
Pick one. I know there's so
many. Definitely overcomplicating it. I was just about to say, the thing about social media is it's so human and it's so simple, and I think we overthink it a lot, and because of that, it sounds very robotic. So they don't establish a personality for their business, or they're not willing to show their personality for the business. But more than that, I will say that and maybe it's just my brand, I have made an intentional play to always be positive and uplifting. Like that is what I want the brand to be. So even when I see something that is discouraging or that I just don't, really upsets me, I always try and take an opportunity to learn from it and then share what I've learned. And I really do think that if you stay positive and you stay humble and you tell people what you've learned or, why you don't think that that works, but you really take the high road, you get this reputation as a thought leader, and you don't go in for the low blows and the easy, ammo that is all over social media to latch yourself onto. You just stay authentic, stay personable, and take the high road, and you will become known as somebody who is a true influencer.
I like that. That's a good place to leave it. This has been awesome. Thank you so much. I've learned a lot already. So I'm going to be making some changes in how my social media is operating. So thank you.
Great.
Awesome. All right, listeners, I'm sure you are anxious to get out of here and go change some stuff on your social media platforms, just like I am. So have a great one. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks, everybody.